So there have been a couple of videos that I've posted in terms of why HR is asking something or how to engage with HR. And if you haven't seen those, I'll put those video links in the description. But what I wanted to talk about is yet another way in which you should sort of engage in the whole interview process, which really can help you and give you a real cutting edge. So once you have your phone interview or whatever with HR, and you are given the chance to do an interview with the hiring manager, whether that's in person or on the phone, what you want to do this maybe 2-3 days before the interview with the hiring manager. Go back to the HR manager. And by the way, all HR managers, all of them, at least every single interview I've ever had in my life, and I'm sure the same for you, they all offer, if you have any questions, let me know. So actually take them up on it. So what you want to do is you want to go back to the HR manager. There's nothing wrong with asking these types of questions. Ask them a little bit about the hiring manager. Ask them, what they can tell you. Obviously, they're not going to tell you things that they don't feel comfortable with, but you'll be surprised. You will get some information. There's nothing wrong with going back to the HR manager and asking questions about the hiring manager in terms of, what is their personality, what is their style. You want to know how team-oriented they might be. You want to know, for example, what they kind of put emphasis on, what they kind of look for in a candidate. And you'd be surprised. You can get a lot of information out of HR managers, especially good HR managers. And this really does help you with the overall process because the info that you can get really can give you a much better shot of getting the job, obviously, going into that interview with the hiring manager. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. So a lot of people don't do this, and no one ever told me when I was a little bit younger, so I wanted to share this insight with you. An interview, as well as your whole job search, you may have heard this, but it really is a campaign. So there's nothing wrong with, trying to get as much information as you can. Most HR managers do know about the hiring manager. Probably 80% of the time they know some stuff about them. Only maybe if the HR manager is new to the company, they may not really know, but most of the time they actually know, and they actually have a good amount of information that they could share with you. And in addition to the obvious of trying to get the job, you want to make sure you can do everything you can to try to figure out what that right fit is that they're looking for, because a lot of times you do have the hard skills for the job. That's why you got the interview in the first place. And I know a lot of people talk about soft skills, that's the people skills. Sometimes that stuff gets a little bit cliched, unfortunately, because I say unfortunately because soft skills really are super important. But within that, there's a little bit more nuance. There's the fit that you and the organization sort of hopefully have, but then there's the fit between you and the hiring manager, and people don't talk about that enough. And then there's also the fit between you and the team that you are going to be working with, or maybe the team that you're going to be managing, the dynamic. There have been times in my career where after I got the job, I was kind of told that part of the reason why I got the job is they felt as though I had the right personality to work with all of the, cross-functional members that I was going to be eventually working with. So they kind of needed, a particular sort of dynamic personality. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. You don't want to have HR simply come back and tell you, which I know happens to all of us sometimes, by the way, but you don't want to have HR come back and necessarily tell you, hey, we thought you were great, but, you just really weren't the right fit. That kind of, is never a good thing to hear, assuming that they are being honest, by the way, and they're not just kind of saying that. So you want to figure out what it is that you can do in order to communicate to the hiring manager why you might be the right fit, because even a good interviewer will ask you good interview questions, but you can't necessarily on a job interview tell people everything about you. So again, there's nothing wrong with treating this like a campaign. What is it about the person that I'm going to be interviewing with that kind of, a little bit makes them tick? I'm not at all suggesting that you should just give them lip service and kind of tell them what you think they want to hear. Absolutely not. But there's nothing wrong with having, leaning a little bit more towards one way or another. That's just, good politics, and that's just good interviewing skills, to be really honest. So now yet another way to engage and be hopefully more relevant in the interview process, and I wish you all the best.